1, 2, 3, 4.
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Breakfast with Brothers.
We're back. We're black. Well, actually, we're not. But here we are, again, rocking and rolling with our microphones in hand and our thoughts ready for you guys to listen to. But we wouldn't be amiss without letting you know what we're talking about. So put them on, buddy. What are we doing?
You guys ever get, like, right when you wake up in the morning, your eyes crack open, you look at the clock, uh-oh, it's 6:30, and you have a 20-minute commute to work, and your work starts at 7 a.m. on the dot, and you're like, oh God, and you literally launch out of bed, throw on your clothes, slap together something in your lunchbox, and you're out the door, right? And you're probably rolling in about 5-10 minutes late either way. So, and then, towards the end of that day, you get around, and it's like, you just finished lunch. Like, all right, day's almost over. You come out at 12:30, 1 o'clock, whenever you take lunch. Come out of lunch, you're like, yeah, just had a good lunch. Gonna be a good rest of the day, nothing too crazy. And from the hour of 1 o'clock to 3:30, if you have that shift, the day just drags and drags and drags. It's like you start work up again at 1 o'clock. You're digging a hole, right? Next thing you know, like you finally finish digging this like 18-foot hole. You pull out your phone just to check out what time it is. Like, oh man, like at least an hour has passed. You look at the clock, 1:10.
What? Been there, done that. The lunch one, when you started talking about it, really hit me. Because when I was working during my internship with Carell out in Corning, New York, that was the ultimate post-lunch vibe where it was, okay, not a vibe. But it was like you would eat, you'd get back to your desk or, whatever I was working on. Maybe I was in another section of the shop or something like that. And then you're just like, all right, 3.5 more hours. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. Then you sit down and it's just like, you're asleep. Quick nap at the desk. You feel like food coma just came barreling into you. And I started having to pack like lighter lunches because things would just hit me. I couldn't eat a full sandwich and, a bag of chips and a drink anymore. I had to bring like mixed nuts, a piece of fruit, and, that was it. Because if I had a full meal at lunch, it was my death sentence for the rest of the day. And that clock, by all means, was roasting me. Just sitting above my desk, it was like, oh, you need work to go by quicker? Well, we're going to slow down time by 6x.
Psych.
You thought. But for real, it's honestly the lunch one was, I felt that one real deep inside, where it was just, yeah, that one's a toughie. Of course, the morning vibes, you, of all people, know exactly where both of us stand with the Bethel vibes in those early mornings. I'd wake you up, you'd wake me up, whatever it was. Someone slept through something, an alarm, dad knocking on the door, mom coming in telling us something was ready downstairs. Whatever it was, it probably could have driven an 18-wheeler through one of our rooms, and it still would have been like,
yeah, we would have been dead to the world. Yeah, especially after like a weekend of concerts or something.
Definitely.
It's like coming into work on Monday was just like, why am I here? Why am I waking up right now?
And sometimes it wasn't even the concert. Sometimes we would have a day of course, any physical labor, this could be said for, I'm sure, with other people in any trade or service work or what have you. But in the specific case of working at Bethel, there were days that we would like weed whack certain huge hills, or we'd just do a couple of the bigger properties that had just incredibly long fence lines, or places that just you would weed whack, and you'd be weed whacking more sand into your eyes than you would grass, which of course lesson learned. Obviously, weed whack away from you and stuff, but sometimes you couldn't help it. And those days were the worst. You have a weed whack in your hand for, we'll just say half the day. I don't ever remember a time where I was weed whacking all the time. Maybe my first year, but even some of those days, it was like there was some other side work or some other project we were doing. But just specifically on those big days where you were weed whacking some unique piece of property at Bethel Woods, you go home, fall asleep, mid changing into your night clothes, or fall asleep waiting for dinner to be ready, or fall asleep before you could even get to the shower or something like that. And then it's just, well, good riddance to my sleep schedule tonight. And then, of course, waking up the next morning was almost impossible. Almost. Not quite impossible. Almost.
Yeah. No, it's like some of the dumbest things I've ever done was at Bethel Woods, like work-wise.
Dumbest as in like unsafe, or dumbest as in, wow, why are we doing this?
No, I mean, because like technically unsafe is... Well, I shouldn't say my work now is unsafe. It's just dangerous. It's not unsafe.
Well, you just take if it is unsafe, you take the precaution for it. But at Bethel, if it was, I'm talking about, you knew it was unsafe, and we didn't take precaution against it type thing. Like that's a dumb scenario, that type of vibe.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily that. Like, yeah, well, sure, we might have done some dumb stuff, but it was never to the point of like, oh, like that was really close. Like I almost just like maimed the other guy or no, nothing.
I don't
nothing
think we
to
ever
that
got
extent.
that close. Yeah, no, I feel
No. But mainly just like dumb as in like what we were doing, like in the sense of like why are we here? Yeah, why are we doing this? And like sure, there was always a rhyme and reason, and like a lot of the stuff we did do that was like, what are we doing this for? Ended up looking like better, of course, but sometimes it was just like it's like you were digging a hole for no reason kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're kind of getting past what we were trying to explain, but a lot of those days where it was like, you get in at lunchtime and it's like, man, I just want this day to be over. And it never ends. It's like the next 3 hours is like 24 hours and you're like, oh my God.
Well, absolutely. And especially because, and I know at Bethel, we got a lot of good treatment as far as like extending the breaks, more than what they were. And that'll happen at other jobs, I'm sure, as many people out there will have, chill bosses or just a chill work environment, or even if it's not chill, just a slow work environment, where you can push the brakes a little longer, or, if someone on the crew has to go do something, like, go drop something off at the bank, who knows, maybe go pick something up for their significant other, whatever it was. Those situations happen all the time. But those specific scenarios that I'm thinking of at Bethel, like we'd have, going for lunch at 12:30, for example, or whatever it was, 12 for us. I can't remember how we did it. But we'd settle in, of course, lunch is a half hour, unpaid. And then it was just like, okay, but now it's going to extend. All right, now today's 45. All right, okay. Oh, today's, all right, now we're rocking for an hour. All right, we're chilling. It's those days where you start pushing past those 45 minutes where it's just like, all right, how long do we got to milk? Where are we at? And then you get past that last little bit, and then it's like, all right, boys, we got to get back. Like, we got this one big thing we got to do. Of course, there's a couple properties that it took a certain amount of time, regardless of how fast you went. And knowing to get out there after lunch, it was just a chore. It almost felt like a crime to be able to stand up from the lunch table to have to go do it, because you're just like, you're dreading, you're sitting there thinking about how long it's going to take, how much you don't want to do it, and then you know for a fact that when you're done, work's not going to be over. You still got an hour, like a solid hour till clock out. And in those specific cases, of course, it would be like bi-level, or it'd be like, oh my God,
inside the fence.
It would be what?
Inside the fence. After lunch.
Inside the fence with the hills and the trees. Awful.
Dude, inside the fence after lunch never went well.
Yes, for real. Or my personal favorite is when we had to weed whack that hill down by the shop. Man, that was awesome.
Dude, we only ever had to do that once. I think the one that was worse was the one over at Conservatory, that whole hillside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when we were trying to mow it slow initially because we're like, oh, we could throw mowers in there. And then
Just blasting rocks.
there was only a couple rocks that I hit that were like detrimental to the blades and, had to resharpen or replace them entirely. But yeah, thinking back on that, I know when we finally did it, I am insanely thankful that I wasn't on, Weed Whacker that year. I had been upgraded to mower, so it was like, oh yeah, you can run around with that thing.
Lucky bastard. I was on Weed Whacker duty when he was there. Sitting there.
Yeah, but you evolve through the ropes, and that's just how it goes.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I will 100% agree that when you're the grunt of the crew, and that goes for any job again, aside from, us doing our Bethel vibe, having to do stuff like that where it's just, you're not sure how long it's going to take, and then you also know that the day is still just dragging on, those moments just become that much more awful, because a minute feels like 5. And then in reality, it's just, oh, okay, that was good. I bet we logged a good 45 minutes on that job. It's just like no big deal. And like you said, you look up your phone 6 minutes have passed. It's like, oh, shouting into the wind.
Not shouting, screaming.
It's funny because I can 100% relate to that exact moment. Even internally, like if I wasn't screaming out loud, it was just like that that existential dread that just, comes over your body. You're just like, demeanor completely, abolished. Everything about your body language has gone from, upbeat, I'm ready for the day to be over, straight to, oh my gosh, why isn't the day over yet? Someone please shoot me. It's just like the continuation of that day. It's always one of those things where it's like, all right, do I want to keep this job? Have that conversation with yourself.
Do I really need this money? Like, is this something that I need in my life? Do I need this stress and anger to really engulf me right now?
It's hilarious.
I could just walk
I saw
home.
a post about that exact scenario the other day where it was like, when did we get to the part where we're just grinding our lives away at work and making money instead of planting fruits and vegetables and painting art or something like that? And I'm just like, yeah, hell yeah. That's great thought about that. I think the rest of it went on to talk about like credit scores and shit, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, can we go back to the Renaissance period, dude? Everyone was just kind of everyone was just kind of working on their own things and, like creating beautiful masterpieces and starting into like great science and like, I don't know, just literature and so on and so forth. Like, we just turn back time, go back to the Renaissance, when we had no health care, no worry of...
Even if without all that stuff, I wonder, like, take for example, if people, got that chance to not feel the end of the day work lag, and just go to a point where they were pursuing something they wanted to. I wondered at what point people would get too lazy, and just take advantage of certain situations and be like, oh, well, I don't have to work, so this, that, and the other. I'm sure, being lazy would be looked at as totally fine because, who cares? Like, you're, in this case, I'm thinking that money wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have to like be investing, for retirement in the future just because, that finance you need wouldn't be necessary, that type of thing. But I don't know.
Right.
Aside from getting away from that topic, but throw your 2 cents in before we get back to our excitement.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a way for us to be able to, I don't know. I mean, there's always ways to get past it, but I don't mean to spark another thought, but I wish there was a way for people such as you and me around our age, which is between the age, well, I'm 24, Zach's 26, and I wish there was a way between the ages of like 21 and 30 where you're just able to explore the world, take those years to like just kind of explore and do whatever you need to do in some form of, like, I wouldn't say no cost, but relatively affordable for anyone and everyone to explore the world and find all that it has to offer and then figure it out and settle down in your 30s wherever you'd like to settle down and continue from there, kind of thing. I wish there was a way for us to be able to do that because of like working constantly. It's like Zach and I have been working since what? I think both of us started working like the age of 14 when we got our working papers, right?
Yeah, first job at CVI. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I started at 14 as well. And I can't even remember specifically what my first job was because like I think there was two I was working at the time because we also did solutions, which was valet parking and like event parking.
Yeah, directing traffic up until we could drive. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So like I was working that, and I think I started at the school as like a summer help. So like we've been working since 14. I'm sure some people have been working since they were 13, and technically wouldn't be shouldn't be able to work kind of thing at that age. But
Yeah,
even
but
some
the under the book vibe, absolutely, 100%.
right. And then of course you have like farmers who
Or
put
sorry,
their
off
kids
the
to
books. I
work.
don't know why I said that.
No, I got you. But then you have like farming families that basically you start working whenever you're able to.
Or yeah, that too. Yep.
So it's some people have been working far longer than us as well. So I don't know, just take that into account. It's like we started at 14 and we're still cranking away and trying to save up as much as we can to do what we'd like to do. But it's just, I don't know, it's strange to me. I wish there was a way for us to be able to go out and explore without the worry of money and jobs and I wouldn't say responsibilities, but I think there's still things to hold responsible. But I think for the most part, like if there was a way for us to do that, that would be great. Where we could kind of essentially be lazy, but in the same sense also live our lives and then come back and do our due diligence in the sense of working, making our money, and contributing to the working class of the United States and for anywhere else as well, any other country in that sense.
Yeah, it would be cool. It would be like the equivalent of like we pay into Social Security today, for people, whatever it is, over the age of 64 and a half, to receive some type of benefit. Now, I don't know
Right.
what exactly that looks like in, pension payouts or retirement funds or whatever. I'm not that age. I haven't collected Social Security, so I don't know. I've just paid into it. But it would be cool to have some type of allocation for that into your idea, because then, there needs to be money, for that to happen. Of course, the government isn't going to shell out stuff for, 9 years of these however many people to do this, that, and the other. So I think it'd have to be put into a big old fund, by taxpayers. Of course, I know, what exactly, or sorry, I should say I don't know what exactly I'm always paying into as far as, what that looks like with Medicare. I know the federal and state tax side of things, and of course paying into Social Security on top of that. And then there's one other one that I can't remember. But I think about all that money that we do put into certain allocations and funds where doing something like that would be totally possible, if it was on the map for a discussion. I just don't know that people would be like, oh yes, that that age range is deserving of this specific spot. Because the classic is go to school for 12 years, elementary, middle, high, get your basic, fundamental education, figure out how to read, write, spell, everything, do math, arithmetic, be able to understand science, cause and effect, and then learn about history. So I feel like all those things are important in their own right. And then after that, is about that time that you hit that cusp. You graduate around 18, and then within those few years, you're already 21. And don't get me wrong, I think people going to college right out of high school can be very beneficial, but using it just to get away from your parents or move away from home or do it just to do it, might be a couple of wrong reasons. Of course, just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But I also think, there's a lot of other people who know that money makes the world go round, and they're going to, work their butt off, for whatever it is they want, because there is no other way, so to say. Of course, now we live in, a bit more modern of an era where technology is leading the way, and there's a lot more opportunity to do more than just your, your standard drive to work, 9 to 5, drive home, eat dinner, go to bed. Now there's a lot of digital opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of freelance work, gig economy work, and then besides that, you could still chase a passion. Of course, not make as much money, but usually be able to do enough to survive. Most times not. Sometimes it helps, but I feel like that's just one of those things where us, like you said, starting work up at 14, we were just like, all right, I want my money to do this, and I think in my first case, I was saving up for a console or putting money down towards a car or, whatever that looked like. And, that's what was important to me then, and today I have that car, I have that console, so things have changed, and I'm sure you started on a path where it was like, let's make some money, so I could save up for, the next set of, and I don't know what your case was. You could talk about it here in a second. But, other people might be for a deck of Pokemon cards, or maybe they want to help out their grandma, because she needs new curtains or something. I have no idea. Everyone's reason is different, but I think that's the cool part about it, that yes, money does make the world go round and it's a huge tool. But being able to, back away from that and understand that it is a tool is mighty important. So, I don't know. I'd be all about that 9 years of time to be able to explore and figure out what you want to do and, kind of not have to be super responsible. But then also now I raise the question, what happens at 30, when those people that finish their 9 years of freedom, I guess we'll just say, and decide that they want to find the loophole out of it. They don't want to necessarily join the workforce, that type of thing.
Well, then they go broke. I mean,
no one's paying your bills anymore. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I was gonna say if there's like a set program for, our youth and our young adults to go out and explore the world, there's got to be an end to the money being pushed towards you. And of course, this is like on a grand scale.
Sure.
So it could be, obviously it's much more difficult done than it is said between us. But yeah, no, I think the money flow would just stop. There's got to be a cutoff point to it all, because what are you going to do? I mean, once you hit 30, there should be, or I shouldn't say once you hit 30. It should probably be shortly before you hit 30 or as you hit 30. The cash flow should be cut off, slowed down, and essentially stating like you either can, you can figure out what you want to do from here, but you're on your own at that point. So the only downside to that would be your younger body being used to explore the world instead, which is good. But then let's take my line of work, for example. My young body is utilized in the sense of I can do pretty much anything without not worry of getting hurt. I can still get hurt, and I can hurt myself in ways that you shouldn't.
Worry of pain and extended, periods of agony and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, my bounce back is very quick in comparison to maybe some of the older guys here. And there really isn't many older guys here. They're all about the same age. But there are some guys that are a little bit older that you can definitely ask them and they'll say, yeah, it's just I don't bounce back like I used to. So that could also be a detriment to certain jobs within our society that are rigorous and taxing on the body. I mean, we were just discussing it today in our little safety meeting we had this morning. To remind everyone to like stretch and do all these things to keep your body in peak physical performance, because without it, then you're out of a job, and without a job, you're out of money. So that also comes into play, and it's like, okay, how many years do we allot these people to go out and do their thing? Would it be 21 to 30? Would it be 21 to 26? A solid 5 years, basically cut it half. 5 years is a lot of time, but 5 years also goes by quick too. So it's like, what is a fair option for our young adults to go out to be able to explore the world? And I would say 5 years is not a lot of time to explore the world, considering, everything that you would want to do. And it's like, yeah, sure, you could allot a month to each place you'd like to visit, and balance it out that way and try to visit everywhere within the month, and that's 4 weeks in an area that you'd like to visit kind of thing. That's how I would balance it out, but now we're getting a little away from the point. Point is yeah, money would end whenever you hit that ending point. You wouldn't go any further. It would be up to you at that point whether you want to either return to wherever you came from initially, start working there, or figure out where you'd like to go next and continue doing what you need to do. People do that nowadays. They just kind of pick up jobs wherever they go.
Yep.
Just for either food, a little bit of cash, or housing. So I don't know. It's kind of like, it's a cool idea. I think it would be really neat to see implemented, because being someone who has only visited like, I'd say like about a handful of states and haven't really left the United States.
Right.
I would like to kind of travel the world a little bit, see what else is out there.
I was gonna say I think we brought ourselves into perfect loop into our initial discussion about time, being that time frame that you were talking about. The 9 years from 21 to 30 might be a little long. I don't know if that would necessarily be something we could even like fathom as a reality. But I was thinking dialing it back right out of high school from 18. We'll just say 5 years. 18 to 23. Maybe in this case, I was even thinking shorten it, 18 to 21, from when you hit that first legal age to do a few things, buy paraphernalia, you could buy lotto tickets, you could drive, as of a few years previous to that. And then I think, what, is voting 18 or is voting 21?
Oh, I want to say,
I don't know why I can't remember this off the top of my head.
whoa. Yeah, I want to say it's 21, but I'm curious now. I want to find out.
Yeah, you Google, let me know. But I think in that specific case, once you get to 21, the rest of your inabilities unlock. The ability to buy alcohol, the ability now in certain states, to buy THC, and then also from there you can. I guess you could also join the army at 18 as well. So that's another thing. But with that being said about you saying that 5 years isn't a lot of time, brought me back to thinking about our original topic of time being, relative in the case of what's happening in the moment. In the morning, it's flying by, you wake up, you have a half hour to get ready. Turns out you put on your pants, next thing you know, you have 4 minutes to get ready. But then at the end of the day, it's everything elongates. It feels like an hour is 7. So in this specific case, if we're talking about this possibility that we're allocating for funds for people to do their thing, explore, find out what they want to do in life. Maybe they just don't want to do anything. Maybe they want to try their hand at getting, famous for streaming NBA 2K or something like that. But specifically, thinking about those 3 years of time, yes, it could go by very quickly. 3 years is nothing. But also, on the flip side, 3 years is a very long time. And that's, completely dependent on what you're doing, how you're, perceiving what you're doing, and then also, what you're spending your time doing. If you're wasting away and, you sleep for, 10 to 12 hours every day, you wake up, you spend an hour on each of your meals, hour for breakfast, hour for lunch, hour for dinner, and then you throw another, let's just say, for example, 4 hours of television, somewhere in the day. Realistically, that's, already what, 19 hours, down the drain, in one day is 24 hours. So you're left with 6 hours, or sorry, 5 hours. And that leaves you little to no time, to be able to work on something that you're passionate about, or work in general, that maybe something you're not passionate about, or, anything else, chores, hell, going to the bathroom. I'm pretty sure that takes up about an hour of my day already, and that's not even on purpose. And then besides that, hygiene, transportation, and then, spending time talking to people, conversing, networking, whatever that looks like. And that's the crazy thing. Depending on how you split up your day, you can have so much time in a day to do a whole lot of things, or you can have little to none. And being able to figure out how to spend that it's a mystery, and everyone everywhere, will tell you that. It's like, oh, I wish I had more time to do this. Oh, I wish I had more time to do that. And sometimes it's not so easy to allocate time to do things, because other things just take up, so much of what you're already doing. your responsibilities, raising kids if you have them, being able to keep up with family, if you have close family, hell, even friends too, and maintaining relationships is, a huge part of what people spend, their time doing. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not saying cut off your friends and stuff, or your family, but allocating time to do certain things is a necessity. And in those 3 years of time in this example that we're talking about, if you're going to explore, go explore. Don't waste time sleeping. Hell, get up even earlier and go just go test something out. Go throw a rock in a river. Figure out why it makes those waves. Pick up a frog. Why does he have two eyelids when he blinks? Like, what's up with that? I mean, who knows? Why is chalk the way it feels? Like, what's up with that texture? These are all just obviously random things just popping into my head. But those thoughts exist among every other level of possibility. And if you're not going to explore it, those 3 years could go by so quickly. But if you're, ample enough to think about using that time in productive ways, or like Ian said, just going and leaving the country, exploring Europe, exploring South America, hell, going over to China for a few years, who knows? Those are things that would honestly be really cool if we, started allocating for. I'd be all about putting my tax money into something like that, instead of and don't get me wrong, if I'm going to put into Social Security and I get a benefit of it in the future, that's great, awesome. But, the rumor has it that all that money will be gone by the time we even reach the age to have that benefit. So if it means that I can put it somewhere elsewhere into, furthering the existence of future generations, then I would much rather put my money towards that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good idea, especially since it allows our youth to be able to explore and understand the world, get a better understanding of themselves and what they want, answers that they may not receive in our society as of today. I think it allows them to grow more as a person separately and, or I should say independently, as well as learning how to talk with others, even more so. And I know that is a huge issue today with a lot of our younger generations, even our generations as well. I think some people find it incredibly difficult to go up and ask someone, like, oh, can you give me directions down to blah, blah, blah? Or can you, just ordering a pizza for that matter.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. It's like, I would say a lot of our time now, and why time feels so short, because they say as you get older, time kind of flies by. And I think that has a lot to do with our structure of work. A lot of us don't get time off as easily. And, some of us get very lucky. I would say I'm very lucky in the sense of being okay to take off certain days and such.
Right.
That's besides the point. I would say a lot of our time is at work. It isn't with our families. It isn't traveling the world. It isn't.
It's a third of our day, dude.
Yep.
8 hours, sometimes more.
Yeah. And it's, in some cases, it's like, it's nice. And I think in my case, the people that I've met moving out here and working with every single day are who I'm surrounded by in the evening. It's like I live with all of these guys. So it's kind of like, a second family to me, in the sense of, like, I see these guys every day. I better get to know them, kind of thing. And, I'd say I'm happy I did. Every single one of the guys I work with, are the nicest people, and we'll leave it at that. Point is, it's like, get to a point where you're happy with your job, or at least happy in what you're doing, because there's always going to be that one person that just ruins it all.
And you can't.
But at least
you can never get away from that. That'll always exist.
No.
For sure.
Nope, can never get away from them. But as long as you're happy doing your job, whatever it might be, that's the hardest thing, is finding a job that you're happy to show up to every day. Sure, people change it, but what you're doing is, if that makes you happy, then that adds to a lot of it. And work doesn't feel so much as wasted time. It feels more productive with what you're doing, because you're also making money with it. which is helping propel whatever you want to do, whether it's supporting your family, doing your own hobbies, buying a car. Hell, going to the store and buying, like, the microwavable popcorn, if that's your thing. It's definitely my thing, dude. No, but on a serious note, I would say that's why time feels so short. And I mean, like, since I've started, it does not feel like I started back in July. It does not feel like 4 months have basically passed at all. It feels like I started 2 months ago, like half that time.
Right.
So it's just within that. I'm only 24 and time's already flying by, but that's also with the nature of my work. There's just so much workload. And other people might experience that as well. I think for you, Zach, you might have a little bit of more enjoyment in the sense of, you love golf, you like the guys you work with. You get to golf basically every day during the summer, almost every day, which is really nice. And some other things littered in there, but that's just one aspect of your job. I know, obviously, you also have your Amazon and all that. But to that extent of your, I guess it's a part-time job for you technically, right?
Just seasonal. I mean, because when we're on
Yeah.
season, it's full-time, 5-day work weeks, 8-hour days, that type of thing.
Right. But seasonal is still
to your
considered
point,
like
yeah.
part-time, yeah.
Right. Yes, to your point, yes.
Yep. So it's like, it's a job that you enjoy to do because you've been doing it for however long. Mowing is, I think we could both say we both enjoy it because it's easy for us. It came pretty quickly to both of us, and it's satisfying immediately. It's like you can immediately notice what you did, and it's like, oh, wow, that looks great. Like, immediate satisfaction. That's the best part about mowing or landscaping in general. Immediate satisfaction after the job is done. And I don't know. I think with that, it helps with the time spent, like I was saying, at work. Helps out a lot with slowing things down, but it also keeps at the same pace. It's like time kind of moves once you're just consistently working. And when you get into the flow space, it's just kind of like, every day kind of just melds together, and it's like, oh, it's the weekend already. Like, I'm surprised I already hit Wednesday and we're coming into Thursday.
100%.
Thanksgiving's next week, weeks have flown by for me since I was last home, and now it's already Thanksgiving and I'm going back home.
Right.
So it's a strange thing. And time, God, I hate time.
It's relative, baby.
Yeah, I know. But that kind of feeds heavily into the point of, in the morning, time's moving really fast just because you have somewhere to be. And of course, whenever you're trying to get somewhere, some people are very good at it. They wake up like 3 hours before work starts, and it's like, oh, you got up at 6:30. I was up before the sun came up. I was up at 3:30 this morning.
Love people like that. My favorite.
Loading in a pot of coffee. I had about 4 cups before I came to work today. Had 4 cups,
for the day, baby.
13 donuts, and I'm ready. I've been ready
Crash
since
by 11 a.m.
I finished those 13 donuts before 4:30. I took 2 showers before I came to work today. What did you do? What did you do, young buck?
I wish I had the motivation to be up well before I had to do something like that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like, I love my sleep, but also looking at it as a 8-hour workday, 8 hours of sleep, give or take, we'll just say that. And you're only left with 8 hours after that. So what do you get to do for those 8? An hour of that is, we'll just say transporting yourself to work. Of course, I'm sure not everybody has to drive a half hour to work each way. But just a safe assumption that you use part of that time, to get your coat on, you get your keys together, grab your wallet, whatever you need, your stuff for the day, lunch, whatnot. Head on down to your car, etc. Start it. Sometimes in the winter you got to defrost that. That it's real life up in New York. And then, you get to work, whatever. Do the same thing at the end of the day. You grab all your stuff, head on to your car, head home. So that already right there brings you down to 7 hours left of time that you get to use personally. Hour and a half of that is preparing dinner, eating it. And then, that brings you down to 5.5. And then you're just like, oh my gosh. That's when the panic starts to set in, because you're just like, oh my gosh, it's almost bedtime. Or, oh my gosh, it's almost time to pick up the kids from school, or whatever, that looks like in your day to day. And that's, one of those tough things where, yes, like I completely believe that, time can be relative, and, you shouldn't use it to base like certain things around this, that, and the other. But I'm a big proponent of organization, and, and putting things in not time slots per se, but giving myself allocated time to do certain things. Like, for example, like today, I was setting up a crypto wallet for the Solana network, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take an hour to do this. If it takes more, I'm going to shut it down and come back to it or whatever. It takes less, great. Then I could start something else. Ended up taking me like 25 minutes, and I'm just like, oh. So right there, I'm already setting myself up for positive success of 35 minutes that I could be doing anything else. Of course, I used my 35 minutes to doom scroll on TikTok. That's besides the point. I took that hour specifically for something, and I decided that I was going to do something, that would help me in the future. In this case, it took me less time. Great. If people could, bring some type of positive reinforcement to things they do day to day, their mood will change, their perspective will shift. Things just can ultimately get better if you are able to put, your best foot forward. Because sometimes it's tough, and of course, Ian and I always draw back to our, positive vibe talk and stuff like that. But it's always tough when you're going into your day being all negative Nancy about things. You wake up, you're like, shh, I'm late again, and it's just like, well, you're already off to an awful start, dude. And then you get to work, and it's just like your least favorite coworker, of course, you never tell him that, but your least favorite coworker decided that he was going to come in a couple minutes late, dinged your car as he's pulling into the parking lot. Now you want to wring someone's neck. The day didn't even start yet. Now your boss comes in and says you're doing the worst thing that you like to do, the worst thing that you hate to do on the list of jobs that you normally do during the week. And it's just like, oh man, let's go. We're off to the races.
See, that's when you just go.
Because we've all been there, done that. And I'm sure everyone has some type of incredible story about the worst day of their work life. In some cases, it could be outside of work, which again, just leads to the pure joy and excitement that you get to experience, for the rest of whatever that day looks like. So, of course, I hate to, harp on, people that find it hard to be able to allocate time for stuff, or, be able to mesh things into their schedule when they already have a packed schedule to stay positive and keep trucking forward. But in reality, it is really all a mental game, and being able to stay on top of yourself and your tasks and your job, and all your personal life stuff, kids, cooking, baking, your hobbies, stuff like that. It is a challenge, and it always will be. But you get to pick and choose those challenges. And if you decide that one of those challenges is inescapable and you have to keep doing it, well, there's a good chance you're going to have to find a way to make yourself happy while you do it. Because if you're forever miserable, you're not going to live a long life. You're going to make other people around you miserable, and you're also just going to, other things will happen. You'll start adding weight. You'll start getting bags under your eyes. Your hair will stop growing. You'll start balding. Hell, even with the hair you have, you'll start turning gray. So it's those things, those stressors in life that if you can help it, go ahead and help yourself. Because at the end of the day, in those moments, go ahead and take a second to be selfish, because your health is your wealth. Your health is your longevity. And if you can't get past that and understand that, you're going to have a very short life and a very miserable life, unfortunately to say. I hate saying that. I hate, thinking negatively. But being able to live a negative life is not fun. And it's not fun for everyone around you, especially if you have family that cares about you and kids that you're raising, and other people in your network, that care about you. Your life is, of course, your own. Do as you must. I'm not trying to tell everyone on here that's listening or, not listening to hear me out and go positive. Let's be mascots every day and just, cheer for the best we can. But also people care about you, and you're worth something and you're valuable. And never forget that, and that's something that Gary V, taught me a few years back, that no matter how old you are, no matter what you look like, no matter the race, color, creed, sexual orientation that you exist within, you're valuable and you matter, and that you should know that no matter what, time is going to exist. And, bringing us back full circle here, things will trek on. Time won't stop. We don't have a magic button that says freeze. We could take 24 hours to do whatever we want, if only. But seriously, just take that step back and look at everything you're doing, and just think about it. Take a second to think. Take a second to breathe. Take a second to just enjoy. And as the old saying goes, stop and smell the flowers.
Don't look at them, because if someone asks you to look at the flowers, no.
There's a gun in the flowers.
No. But on that note, we hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I think we should leave it heavily on Zach's last note there. I think it was very well said. So on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And as always, if you're listening over on YouTube, check us out over on Spotify. Give us a follow there. And then also go back to YouTube and hit subscribe. That would be great. Thank you. And then go back to Spotify and then add our podcast to your playlists. You see what I'm doing here? Yeah, you see what I'm doing here? Okay, good. Zach's got a couple other things in the works. I'm not going to say anything as of yet. I know we've been talking about like Apple Podcasts and all that stuff. Zach's on the mission right now. As of right now, there's nothing solid, but once we have some more solid ground that we're working with, we will let you guys know. But I just wanted to put that out there. Hopefully some things will work better for those that listen on different platforms. So, from here, we will catch you guys whenever we catch you guys. So we'll catch you on the flippy flop. Peace.